Hi YouTubers. You know, if I was going to ask you a question, and that question was along the lines of, give me a characteristic that's universal to people who believe in a god or gods. An answer that you may give me, in fact an answer probably wouldn't give me because it would seem such a trivial example, is that they worship that god or gods. You may also say that they are quite happy to give that god total dominion over their lives, that they accept the fact that that god or gods can take away their lives for whatever reason at whatever stage, can subject them to pretty much anything he wants to subject them to, that he has that right. These are the kind of subjects that I want to explore in this video. You see, as an atheist, I find these quite interesting ideas, although not necessarily ideas that are immediately apparent. They're things that we kind of take for granted, that these are the things that believers do and these are the things that believers think. But the last couple of weeks I've started to give quite a lot of thought to this, which is it's amounted to a series of, you could say, philosophical thought experiments. I'm not personally a big fan of philosophy, but moral philosophy is perhaps one area in which I have a twinkling of interest. So some of the lines of thought that I've been having have concerned the way that we treat our own offspring, which in some sense, in some very, very real sense, we have created. That's the first thing, how we treat our offspring, what we expect our offspring to give back to us. Do we expect to have total dominion over our offspring who we have created? Do we expect our offspring, our children, to worship us, or do we in fact grant our children rights similar to ourselves? How would we feel if our children were to worship us? Would we actually feel would we actually shrink back from it a little bit and think, well, actually, no, cut it out, maybe say thank you for me bringing you into the world, but leave it at that. Then I think about things like, for example, if you think of the film I, Robot, would perhaps be a good starting point. The idea that we could create some life other than ourselves, but life which, similar to ourselves, starts to ask the kind of questions that we've asked, that tries to make meaning of its life, that tries to find its own place in the world, that asks, where am I, what have I come from, where am I going, what's all this about, is it about anything? Would we expect, if we created these artificial life forms, how would we treat them? I suspect that we would actually treat them quite well, and as we advance, as our societies, our civilization advances as it has in the last couple of 100 years in these kind of moral issues, I think we treat them better and better, and probably in 100 years' time we treat them better than we would do today. But I don't think we would feel we could have total dominion over them, that once we'd created these intelligences, we wouldn't just be able to smash them to pieces, to tear their limbs off, to cause them pain, to cause them anguish, to just extinguish their lives just on a whim. We feel we'd have to treat them with the kind of respect and decency that we would expect to be treated, I believe. I also don't think we would expect them to worship us, even though we would in a very, very real sense, be their creators. I also think about the prospect of aliens. If an alien civilization came along, an alien civilization more powerful than ourselves, more intelligent than ourselves, that predated ourselves, that had spawned life on our planet, that had billions of years ago set our process rolling. Perhaps this life form may not even be DNA based, but had created DNA themselves to create us. Now that's not something I actually think happened. This is a thought experiment. But what would be our expectations if they came back to visit us? Would we grant them? Would we be happy to grant them? This is the question. They may just assume total dominion over us, but would we be happy with that? Would we be happy with the notion that they could just kill us at a whim because they created us? That they could kill us at a whim because they were more intelligent than us? That they could kill us at a whim because they have more power than us? I suspect that we wouldn't. That what we would say to them is, look, you've created us now. We're self-aware beings who are aware of our own predicament in the world, who are asking questions about ourselves and looking for answers. we are in some ways maybe less intelligent than yourselves, but we have those similarities with yourselves. You know, I think you should be granting us similar rights, some type of equality with yourselves. I think that's reasonable. I think that's what most people would say, and it wouldn't surprise me if the aliens are reasonable, if they would feel like-minded. So then we go back to religion, where we have this entity that's more powerful, that's more intelligent, that has created us. And we ask the same questions. Is it really necessary that we have to keep fawning and praying and worshipping all the time? Does that seem reasonable? Is that what an entity would even want? And if an entity did want that, what would that say about them? Is it really fair that just because something has created us and is more powerful than us, that can wield the big stick, you know, that's more intelligent than us, that has access to information that we don't, that gives them the right, once they've created us, to just do as they wish with us? My answer is that no, it doesn't. I'd be interested to know what anybody else thinks about this.